All right, thank you so much for everyone who has taken time out of their Monday evening to come and join us. We will get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Do I have a second? Motion and a second. All those in favor? 6-0. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I motion to adopt this consent agenda.
Motion, do I have a second? Second. All those in favor? 6-0. All right. One of my favorite times. We will move on to the Board of Ed acknowledgements. We have two wonderful women who are here with us tonight. First up is Jenny Miller. Jenny in the house? No? I'm going to read it anyway because she deserves it. Jenny has been nominated by her peers and or members of the public for her exemplary work. Jenny goes above and beyond for the students along with the staff. She helps in any way that she can, and the person who nominated her. Their children love the relationship that she has built with them. She is an asset to the school, and this family is grateful for everything that she has done. So, Jenny Miller, thank you so much. She comes from I'm super excited about this one. Lexi Combs. Lexi comes from Cottonwood. Lexi, you have been nominated by your peers and or the members of public for your exemplary work. The family who nominated you or whomever nominated you said, Mrs. Combs is such an amazing teacher.
Thank you.
Sorry, she had my dog. So, she's always pleasant and is a great communicator. She meets a child where they are, but also gives them goals to continue to improve their performance. She is great at recognition while also ensuring that children learn respect, integrity, and kindness in her classroom. She is truly doing what she's meant to do. So, thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay, I'll take one. No, thank you. Can we have you stand in the background? Okay. Quick, please.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Up next for acknowledgements, we'll move to the schools. Let's see.
I'll start.
Stacy, wonderful.
Okay. We celebrated Kansas Day. We use it as part of the fourth grade. For their state assessments for social studies, they work on Kansas Day projects. And then part of that is presenting. So we have an open forum in the multipurpose room where third graders and fifth graders come listen to their presentations and hear about famous Kansans. And it's every year I always learn something and got really cool people from Kansas. And then we just finished up round 1 today. So we'll be doing our progress monitoring, assessment, and reorganizing our groups for our next round. And then Red Friday, we have a new Panther Club this year. It's new for this round. They are called Red Friday, and they are doing collections for veterans. So we're collecting beef jerky, things like that. They're going to put together packages to mail to soldiers. And then they just put together Valentines that we sent out today.
Very cool. Awesome. Thanks, Stacy. Mark?
Yeah, I'll go real quick. So I'm excited because we've got some kids, middle and high school kids here. And I'm not going to say a whole bunch, but they're going to talk about Kid Win a little bit later. And so I'm just excited that we have some kids here to talk about some awesome things that go on at the middle school and at the high school, but it all takes place at the middle school.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Brandon?
Yeah. Cottonwood, we continue with the Rise and Shine Reading Buddies Club in the morning, which is a great opportunity for our second graders to mentor our younger readers. We've got family movie night coming up, February 20th, to go. And then Kind of Sweet, February 17th through the 20th, and the first grade music program, March 3rd. And then we just incorporated the first Reader of the Month awards. I get to eat pizza with different students that are recognized for outstanding achievement and effort in reading. That's been a lot of fun too. So I get to eat with kindergartens and then first grade and second grade. Had some real interesting lunch discussions.
Awesome, thank you. All right, oh, Jimmy.
Yeah, actually, if you want me to go in the legislative, or do you want me to do that now? It's up to you.
Oh, he did. Okay, we'll wait.
I can do it then.
Okay.
Which is next up?
Anybody from the board have any acknowledgements? Jeff is out right now. I think him and Darren are at basketball, but when he gets here, we'll catch up with high school.
Yeah, I know that we were, the high school was selected, or will be hosting the regional wrestling boys, which I didn't look at. It's Saturday, February something. I don't remember the day. In a couple weeks, so
Okay.
whatever that Saturday is.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to the information and discussion items. Couple reminders. Number one, we have a board meeting, our special board meeting at Sunflower on Tuesday the 17th. That's at 7:30. That's the one like we did at Cottonwood, where we will have a short meeting and then we'll get to tour the classrooms. So that's 7:30 to 9. We are done at 9 o'clock. So we're pretty prompt about that one. Just a reminder that we have our board and superintendent training on the 26th. That's a Thursday at 6. Should last a couple hours. So just a reminder for that. And then number 3 is we have the legislative breakfast on the 28th. I think that's a Saturday, isn't it? Saturday, the 28th. At the high school at 7 a.m. Robotics is going to have an open house at 9. So everyone is welcome to attend the legislative breakfast on the 28th. And then Jimmy had some information about that.
Yeah, so I thought, since items 3 and 4 on there talk about legislative things, that there's a few things I thought would be appropriate to share now, as January every year kicks off the state legislative session, as Samantha's well aware, and everyone knows that's happening. So between that and local discussions about property tax and things, I wanted to share some follow-up from the budget presentation I made in August, and then also kind of a preview for 26-27, because as we're getting ready to make spending decisions between now and end of the year that will affect next year, I wanted to share some of that with the board, and then just for public information as well. So backing up to the mill levy information, we'll start with there. So in my presentation last August, you'll remember I kind of did a little bit of a projection there because of our bonds paying off and the mill levy decreasing, and not knowing what everybody's budgeted mill levies would look like this year. At the time then, I said only 18 districts would have had a lower mill levy than us. The mill levy information is still that we did a data collection in December. The final isn't out yet, but I did get a little sneak preview, preliminary from KSDE with a lot of disclaimers that some of it may change, but I don't think there'll be enough significant changes to change what I'm about to tell you here. But that information will be publicly released later where you can compare school districts. But the preliminary information, as again I had said 18 districts, actually only 16 districts have a lower mill levy than USD368. So there's 285 school districts, or were last year. We ranked 269th lowest in the terms of mill levies. So, and again, just so everybody's on the same page, our mill levies on the round, because we go down to the thousandth of a mill, but basically 42 mills. So again, just to follow up on that, of the 16 districts that are lower than USD 368, they average 37 mills, and we're 42 mills. So for whatever that's worth. But I think it's interesting to note the districts that are lower than us, the average FTE, full-time equivalent students of those districts, is 726. So these are small districts. Now again, we have one close by, Prairie View. When I show you our Miami County information, Prairie View was a few tenths of a mil less than us. And they are a decent sized district. But of those 16 districts, none of them are larger than we are. So I think that is telling too where we rank at. And only 3 of them actually are larger than 1,000 FTE. So they're significantly smaller than us, which makes, to me, a big difference. So as far as mill levy, statewide, the range, the low end is 23 mills. That's Fort Leavenworth, which is very unique, has a lot of things legislatively when it comes to bond and interest state aid. Fort Leavenworth, because there's not a lot of property there, it's small, and a lot of it's federally funded. But they're the 23. And the highest mill levy in the state is 77.7 mills. The average, if you average all the districts in the whole state, is 53 mills. And again, we're 42 mills. So I think that just provides some context as we're heading into local legislative season and legislative breakfast locally here to know what part of your tax bill is being driven by USD368 and how that compares to the whole state, because I think that says a lot about what we're doing here. So again, our mill levy did decrease quite a bit with our bonds paying off. The bonds paying off does not affect our operating budget. It does affect our capital budget, because that's money, we try to bond issue, that's what we would have done to add on, renovate, remodel, modernize roofs, HVAC and things. Obviously it didn't pass, 2 failed attempts, so that's not an option. But it does not affect the operating budget directly, I will say. Indirectly it could. If we continue to not have a bond and we don't have capital outlay sufficient to maintain our buildings, that could have to come out of operating budget, or things get deferred. So again, I want to clarify that. So the other thing too, if you look at, and I've summarized this a couple different times in budget presentations, the Code 1 is a budget document that shows the taxes in a nice, somewhat succinct 2-page form. And when I compare that year over year, this current year budget to the prior year budget, we decreased taxes $884,000. That again was just all the estimate from last July and August when we did the budget. If you look on your tax bill this year, where you get the nice summary in there of all the revenue, so look at your tax bill, that kind of lower middle section, the USD368 taxes decreased $904,000. So those numbers are within $20,000. So they kind of correlate and jive. It's saying the same thing, but again, it's just difference of timing. But I like to tie that back to the budget that we presented and published back in that Code 1. So again, that $904,000, if you dig into those numbers, a lot of that was bond and interest. The prior year we levied $1.4 million for bond and interest. This year it's 0. So again, that's where I say that's the capital side of things, not the operational side. So just that's an important thing to remember. Again, there could be some indirect things later on depending on what we decide to do. So mill levy of current year. Now fast forward, kind of looking ahead to 26-27 budget. The projections from the state are out for the base state aid increase per pupil. And you can see that's on KSDE's website under what's new. You can go look at every district in the whole state and see what the projected increases are. So I'll share a little bit about what our increase looks like. Again, this is from the state. So again, we all pay state income tax and other tax that are part of that, but this is not property tax. Our estimate for next fiscal year is an increase of $312,000. And again, I'm going to round and approximate, not give the exact just for the sake of time. So when that goes up, the LOB, as we levy 33% at, has the potential to go up as well. So that $312,000 for the 26-27 budget compares to last year, for this year, was $372,000. So it's $60,000 less, just keep that in mind. 2 years ago, that number was $676,000. So you can see the trend there. Just, again, be aware of that. $312,000 is the projected increase. It's smaller than the prior year. So again, as we're setting spending and funding decisions for next year, that's the money we're working with. Now the LOB, as I mentioned, adds 33%, which would add $103,000. To take advantage of that and to utilize that revenue source, the only way to do that is to pass that on to local taxpayers, and you cannot be revenue neutral and do that. So if we're not going to exceed revenue neutral, that $103,000 is not on the table as an option. So again, as we're making decisions with negotiations, benefits, expenditures, adding programs if we were talking about that, I just point that out because that's the monetary amount that we have to work with. unless we dip into reserves or make some other adjustments and things. So again, you either increase revenue, cut expenses, or spend cash. Some of those are one-time things, so just want to make that clear, especially for our new board members as we're going through making those decisions, what that amount is for next year. So, and mainly, again, to point out that LOB, where in the past, we did exactly just that. We were able to increase the LOB and offset the bond and interest because we were paying down. There's nothing else to offset. You can't go below zero. So if we utilize that LOB, we would exceed revenue neutral. So just something to foreshadow and think about as we're talking taxes, legislative session.
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
First of all, do you have a projection on what the increase will be based on the 20 mil, since that stays at 20 mil no matter what, and the property assessments continue to go up? Do we have an idea of what that increase?
Are you talking about for the general fund?
Yeah.
Well, I don't, and here's why we don't really look at that. Yes, it will make a difference, but our general fund, even though the 20 mils, we're only funded based on our head count. So that's already factored into that 312,000. So the 20 mils might generate more, could send more money to the state of Kansas. Our general fund is only on FTE head count. So even if, and I could flip over and tell you that, but say hypothetically, districts have power plants and things. If our general fund is $12 million and we generated 30 million, that just goes to the state. So most districts don't generate enough to fund. They're getting money back from the state aid. So I can't tell you off the top of my head, but you're exactly right. If the assessed value goes up, that 20 mils, it's going to go more money to the state of Kansas, not necessarily our general fund, because that's based on head count.
Okay, and then the other question was, of the previous bonds, how much money do we have left over from that?
In the bonds? So we do have a balance in there. You can see that in the monthly financials, and I think it's about $1.1 million. I'll flip over here to tell you what's left. So that's a good question, though, because that, as you know, as taxes pay late a lot of times, that will continue to trickle in for years down the road. The special assessment's a good example of that. We only levied that a couple times and quit. The money trickled in for a long time because as people pay taxes and arrears and other things. So I think it's about 1.1 million left in that bond fund, which could be used like capital outlay. The board has to declare that it isn't needed for its original purpose of the bond, and then we can use that for capital outlay type things.
Yeah.
And again, we're going to talk about capital outlay later tonight, and actually I'm going to put the tech piece, and I put in there in my report what that balance is as well. So again, this time of year, the balance looks really healthy, so it's really better to look year over year, but we'll talk more about that a little later. Does that answer both of the questions?
That's it.
Okay.
So anyway,
Thanks, Jimmy.
set the stage. I know, it's
Appreciate it.
riveting, uplifting information.
Wonderful. Thanks for
Very important.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'll be quiet.
I didn't say it. Okay, so legislative breakfast is on the 28th. Also of note, the State of the City is going to be on March the 3rd at the Town Square at 7:30 in the morning. Of course, everyone is welcome to join us there as well. Up next, we have middle school and high school students with Kid Wind here to present to the board. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, so excited to have them come and speak tonight. So Sherry Guilfoyle has actually worked with our kids with Kid Win since we started the program. It's been 2016, right, Sherry? And so every year she devotes a lot of time for kids to come into her room, and they make a big, huge mess in there, and she loves every minute of it. And so it's an honor to have these kids here talk a little bit about what they do and why they're interested in the program and what they get out of it. So I'm going to turn it over to them.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
Caitlin, presented by PMS of the HSTs.
What is KidWin? KidWin is an annual event where we build and test wind turbines. We compete against other wind turbines from other schools. The 3 divisions are 4th and 5th, 6th through 8th, and 9th and 12th.
Why we do it to, many people do it for different reasons, whether it's to discover their strengths and passions, or to learn about wind turbines, or pursue their interest in renewable energy.
These are pictures from two teams. This is Anubis. It's a 2022 and a 2023 team. They got first and 4th through 8th and went to state. This is Team Taurus. They are a current team with Wesley and Moss.
These are the Windbreakers. They're a 2024 to present team. They went to 4th and 5th division for Worlds last year.
How is Goodwin educational? It is educational through trial and error, CAD and design, and building and testing. So that is Team Taurus. Previous year, that is all the iterations and design process shown on this red wheel. The CAD and design, that is the Windbreakers full turbine out in CAD software. And for building and testing, that is Airheads 2024 to 25. That is us learning how to use CAD and apply it to Kidland.
Competition elements. Performance testing. Turbines are tested in wind tunnels, which is 4 fans stacked on top of each other that pushes air towards the turbine, and then the turbine will produce energy, which we measure in joules, that will go for 2 30-second trials.
For the judging session, you're going to go in a room with judges and you're going to present a slideshow that has stuff about your turbine and your engineering process and your trial and error. And they're going to give a critique about like your process and your teamwork. They're going to give you a sheet that has everything on it so you can like review about it. Instant challenge. The instant challenge is a surprise challenge that's going to test your STEM skills and your teamwork abilities. You do not get to know what it is before, so you're going to have to be prepared for anything. And teamwork is key.
Knowledge test and quiz. This knowledge test is just to show your understanding of energy and clean power concepts, and it encourages you to learn more about clean power and engineering tactics throughout the build season.
What we've done, this is an example of a presentation that was done in 2023. This is Team Anubis showing the materials they used with highlighted.
What we've done, this is Team Taurus, trial and error. That is me with all of my prototypes for this windmill. As you can see, it was a lot. That's about 1.5 months worth of work.
What we've done, the bald eagles. This is a gearbox made out of Lego. Lego is pretty good because you don't have to prototype with it, and it's pretty accurate with the teeth. But there are some disadvantages, like you can't be too accurate with the spacing, and you can't change it. Also, it can slip really bad. That's why 3D printed gears are good, because you can prototype it and you can customize it to your turbine's needs.
These are the Windbreakers.
This is my team design.
That is the DIYers.
That's Team Taurus.
And then that's the Team Eagle's Nest. Thank you for listening. Any questions?
Awesome. I have a question. What made you decide on 6 of the things instead of, like most I see have 3 or 4?
Well, we haven't actually decided yet. We're still in the testing process. We're doing that today, but just 6 in general, and we can always, these are removable, so we can always decide to go 3. I can make a new one that has more as well, but we'll test it, find out how many joules it makes, and go off that.
Did you 3D print them?
Yep.
That looks really good. Good luck with everything.
How often do you guys meet to work on stuff like this?
It's a few times every week. Sometimes it's only 1, but mostly it's 3. It's usually 3 p.m. to 4:30.
Yeah. So you've got quite a commitment in.
Yeah.
So proud of you. Has it inspired any of you to go further into wind turbine later in life?
It's inspired us 3 to go into robotics and use the skills we learned from this into configurator robot. I know Luca's going to robotics. Calendar, you planning?
Yeah, I plan to.
Oh, very cool. That's so cool.
And you've got 2 other objects.
Okay, so
Donuts,
these
explain
are these were our best attempt at donuts. Team Taurus, which is the team that me and Moss are on, we wanted to be donut themed. just to show our creativity. So we made donuts out of expanding foam, and each member on the team got to paint their own donut. But some of the donuts didn't meet the correct size. But some of them did. And for this one, just to be more creative, I installed little LEDs on it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. I think that'll.
If it's helpful, they look like donuts.
They do.
If you brought me a donut that size, I would not say no.
This is what the inside of the box looks like.
Oh, wow.
It might look complicated, but to someone like me, it's pretty simple. Well, I mean, it's basically just a switch, batteries.
We thought it'd help us stand out within
Yeah.
all the teams.
That's fun. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yes,
and
thank you,
sharing.
I did just want to share real quick, we've got about 30 kids, middle and high school kids that come in and work with Sherry. And so, again, I just want to give a big shout out to Sherry for giving up her time for kids to be able to come in and do that.
Yeah.
It's something that she embraced and absolutely loves, and so the kids come in and really she just kind of helps guide them a little bit. I mean, a lot of everything that they do is all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks to Sherry and thanks to the parents who devote their time to getting their kids to and from, because most middle schoolers I know ain't driving. So thank you to everyone who's included in their lives and in their passions. So awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, we are going to move on. There are no open forums tonight, so we can move right on to action items. The first one is the approval of a new Coding 1 and Coding 2 class at the middle school. And I think Amy's got some information, maybe?
Basically, it's just the same as what you have in your board report. It's just a new elective that the middle school's been looking at offering. Actually, for a couple of years now, they've been digging into trying to find some new electives for students and finding a way to do that with minimal cost and with the staff to be able to do that. And I think both of those things will be achieved by adding this class. Gives kids another chance to get in there and think critically, be creative, problem solve, logistics. There's just a lot of things other than just coding that go into that class. So I think it's a good opportunity for them. But if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer as much as I can. I don't know a lot about coding, but as much as I can.
Does anybody on the board have any questions about Coding 1 and Coding 2? All right, if not,
I move we approve the Coding 1 and 2 at PMS.
A second. I have a first and a second. All those in favor of approving Coding 1 and 2 at PMS? 7-0. All right, thank you so much. Next is the item to approve capital outlay 2026-27 technology projects for the amount of $260,650.28. Jimmy?
Yeah. And two, I don't know if you want to do this now or go back, but we missed information number 6.
Yep.
So I don't know if you want to.
Yep.
And go ahead and do the capital outlay, if you want to go back to that later, or you want to do it now?
Let's go back
Go back to it.
before we get in the
Okay,
capital outlay weeds.
move that pile back.
Okay,
So-
sorry about that.
Okay.
Discussion item, students in need discussion. This was brought up by a board member to discuss. Obviously, Jimmy's in charge of the SOS event in July, 3rd Saturday of July.
Perfect.
Every year, so great resources for our community, haircuts, vouchers, books, medical, dental. I mean, like, if you can think it, you can dream it. It's probably in the building for our community members. So Jimmy was gonna share some things that we have, our community members have access to throughout the school year, because obviously the need isn't just in July.
Yeah, definitely. And to tell the end of the story first, there's a lot of resources in USD368.
Yes.
And I do have the privilege to administer the SOS program, but the buildings where the rubber meets the road, the counselors, the social workers, the nurses, And so I'll share a lot of the resources we have. It is, to me, mind-blowing, and it's phenomenal what we have here to help with students in need. So again, SOS, you covered a lot of them. I'll hit just kind of a few of the highlights. So of course, we have some clothing things there from Rotary Club. We give out the cash vouchers there for that. We do the backpacks and school supplies. We have the hygiene kits. We have a nutrition voucher. That's the Jason Grandin Memorial that gives kids some money on their food account. We have hearing and vision screenings from parents as teachers. We have the Health Partnership Clinic there doing medical things, as well as the health department. KU Hospital is there. And I'm going from memory on some of these, and I'll probably forget somebody to get an email, so forgive me if I do. But the health department, if I didn't say that already, Can Care is even there. We have Elizabeth Layton Center, it's easy for me to say, providing mental health resources there as well. ECAN is there, giving resources out. Red Cross, just a lot of different resources there. So a lot of that's from SOS. And we try to promote those resources throughout the year. But the ones that really kind of go above and beyond, we have the Cook Fund program that, I don't know all the history of it. I could quote you what I know. We have actually the documentation on it. But the Cook family, I don't know how many years ago, 50, 60 would you say, Matt? Gave this farm to the school district. And for years, the district cash rented it out and used that money. And at some point in time, they petitioned and were able to sell the farm. And if you see that on the financials every month and every year, the Cook Fund, it always ends at an interesting amount, a very unique, specific dollar amount. And that's the exact net proceeds. We keep it at that balance. So that's the proceeds from the farm. So that money is used, Laura Lee facilitates that, to provide Cook Fund vouchers for people that miss SOS, but they can go to Walmart and buy clothing. It also pays for vision screenings throughout the year and eyeglasses for students and families in need. And then the hygiene kits I mentioned, the PACA and churches do that at SOS, but then throughout the year we have the Giving the Basics program. So students can go into any office, the nurses area, and get hygiene items. They have a variety of different things. That's a program out of Kansas City. That actually came about through Rotary years ago. Clear back, I think Shelley Sherman was on the board, was in Rotary, and kind of got us on a waiting list, and it was years later that we got signed up for that. But that's the Bob Hamilton Plumbing supported that, and Teresa Hamilton, I think, still might live in the Lewisburg School District, is kind of how we got that connection there, through a Rotary type connection in Shelley Sherman. So other things that we have in the district, the Panthers Feeding Panthers, that's the FFA food pantry at the high school. The new Threads clothes closet at the high school, if you've seen that's just kind of up and running. To provide clothing to the high school students. The Paola Academic Completion Program out that Karen Ulansky-Swank facilitates. We have some student food programs, specifically resources for them that we fund out of the charitable First Option logo debit card proceeds. The Harvester's Back Snacks food resources are at Sunflower and Cottonwood. We do the Healthy Future School Dental Clinic at all schools. Food service, we have a lot of individual donations and from organizations too that give money to food service to pay student balances. And so you see some of those when they exceed the $500, you'll see that. Otherwise, they just get in that fund and help students as well. This year, between the Rotary Club, as a partnership between Rotary and SOS and Tahoe, the food service management company, did Thanksgiving meals. And so that was a really neat program. I think there might be a chance for that to continue, a partnership with Rotary and with Tahoe. James McIntyre facilitated that with a lot of food service volunteers as well. So a neat way to give a meal to families in need that qualified for free lunches. Parents as Teachers is a program too that has a lot of resources there. Some of theirs, like a lot of things, if they come with grant money and things, a lot of Parents as Teachers is specific to even Lynn County. But they can do some amazing things. They can provide even furniture for people. They have these baby showers and they provide cribs, and a lot of that falls under like health and safety, safe sleep things. So a lot of resources there. They can do diapers and furniture, as I mentioned. Then we try to promote information for a lot of other programs, like we promote and help people be aware of the resources for veterans. Obviously not our students probably, but in their family. So that's the John DeVore Trust through First Option Bank. So if they're in need, and they can get some resource help through there. So again, kind of an indirect referral there. The East Central Kansas Area Agency on Aging Meal Voucher Program, I shared recently on SOS. Again, it's more for adults, but you can actually get a voucher and go to Price Chopper and eat at the deli. I think there might even be a couple other local restaurants. We always share information like PACA Operation Holiday. 2 Feet Forward was a program that I think is still up and active. It gives shoes to students who are being raised by their grandparents. That's the main mission of that program, as well as making referrals to the Cops for Tots Angel Tree. We get a lot of donations from local churches, backpacks and school supplies and winter apparel. We've done some things in the past, like with the Steph Strong money. We had the winter warm-up program from several years ago. And then the Teammates Mentoring Program, again, is something we find out of charitable. And that's just kind of a longer list. I sent this out into this meeting and asked all the counselors and nurses and social workers for their input. And there's even more. Aaron Ham or Cottonwood, Brennan back there sent me a list of all the things that they refer to. A lot of partnerships we have, like Elizabeth Layton Center, that they can get mental health services. Kansas Legal Services. We work closely with My Father's House with homeless students. Just a lot of cooperation and resources available. So SOS is a small part, but again, the buildings really are where the rubber meets the road on that. So commend them for everything they do for our students. We just had an example this week. So the haircuts, we have the vouchers. So Jamie knows. Jamie's been at SOS cutting hair several years. We have stylists there cutting hair, and then we give out Great Clips vouchers so they can get their hair cut later. And if we have any left over, we'll give those out during the cook fund. And sometimes, like this year, we even had a few left over. We gave out, I think, 3 just this week, a family that needed some. So we always try to find a way to do whatever we can. So anyway, a lot of unique resources. Hopefully I covered all the people, and can't thank the community enough for the support of all the different elements. So
I think it's absolutely amazing what the community does and rallies behind the school and the students. I think one of the concerns that was brought to my attention was just sometimes the parents don't necessarily have the means to get the student or the child to something. So even if they had a coupon for a haircut, they can't get them to get the haircut. So if we could find a way to set something up with volunteers in the schools twice a year just for maintenance on little things and help in that manner, I think that was something. So it wouldn't necessarily be a financial obligation, it would just be more of a during the school day, with how the dental clinics come in, maybe have some people volunteer to help out with that.
right.
Mark?
Another thing, there's a lot of other things too, sorry.
No, sorry.
Like I'm thinking the driver's ed grant that we do. It's an indirect thing, but that is for students who qualify for free lunch. Now, they have to pay for driver's ed, take the driver's ed, but then they can get $200 back. And a lot of districts don't do that. It's kind of clunky, Matt can attest to that. There's some nuances with the grant, because it's a grant through the state, so there's some quirks in there, but it's worth the effort. And so we have been approved for the last couple of years of up to $5,000 for that. So again, it's just one of those things that we try to go above and beyond. If they've paid for that, it gets their $200 back and they need help, or they can use it to buy food or whatever. So.
Mark, you want to add something?
Well, I was just gonna share, if I heard you right, Samantha, you were saying that, hey, even though we give that, sometimes the parents can't get them there. I do wanna share with you, Jimmy talked about the haircuts, we actually took our student today.
Oh, awesome.
I was gonna say,
I mean, people probably don't know this, but
Yeah.
we've done that multiple times.
Okay.
Aaron
yeah,
took one from Cotton.
Yeah, we just don't
today.
share that out, but we just did that today, and I mean, it's an awesome thing, because they come back, it's like $1 million, and it's really cool.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
I just wanted to let you know, we actually do that.
Yeah, perfect.
Jimmy, would it be possible to get a list of what you read off to us?
Sure.
Just as.
I have it all in
information so
Word
we can-
document. So.
Awesome.
We can email that out.
That way it's easy accessible, if we can ask,
Yeah.
like we can pull up and have the resources available.
Absolutely. And you know what, we can probably I'll send it to Laura Lee and she can put it on that information item,
Perfect.
so it's out there for everybody to see. So
Wonderful.
we'll do that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I'll give you that.
And thanks to the buildings for taking that on. I know Brennan just shared at Site Council tonight that Aaron Ham did that with, I think a first grader. Was it a first grader? And she said same thing. He came back just
beaming. He felt like he was a whole new man. So kudos to the buildings and the counselors and whoever takes that on, because that's, surely not in your original job description, but we appreciate you for that. So, all right, thanks Jimmy for that information. We're gonna jump back down to item number 2, approving the capital outlay 26-27 tech projects with the amount of $260,650.28. Jimmy.
So a little bit, I kind of preface this in my board report with some background. So, and those of you who've been on the board know that typically we do this in April. Jim Prothy's our new tech director, and he's hiding back there in the back, off camera. He controls the camera, so I'm sure it's zoomed in on me right now. Not him, but we're gonna work on that. But because of some things with pricing and changes with memory and demand of certain things, and also just timing and availability, Jim asked about expediting that. We're certainly in favor of doing that, so hence why you're seeing that now in February rather than in April. So still in April is when you'll see the general projects, when Scott Teagarden, Director of Maintenance, will come up with all the building needs. That's the big list that you'll see. So we'll, Scott and Matt and I will sit down and go over that before spring break, and then we'll present that for approval in April. So again, this is a little bit ahead of the game, but that's why I shared with you a little bit like what we spent last year, and this is just that 260,000 change is a little bit less. It's comparable to prior years. And then we'll get more in detail with all the total projects and the total revenue that I'll share like I always do. But I want to at least give the comparable background to the prior year so you know kind of where we stand. So you've got that total list in there, and this again is in Diligent or the new board docs with all the details in there, that 260,000. And the items that are highlighted, I'm going to kind of blur the two together, the approval next, but the bids. So Jim solicited bids from the vendors on the items that are highlighted. So again, just like general projects, if it's something above $20,000, we usually get bids on that. So he solicits the bids for those. You will see in there the Mac items or the Apple type products. There's no bid for those, and they are over $20,000. There's a state bid contract for that. So if they're pre-bid or in a purchasing consortium, there's reasons why you may not see that. But the ones that you see highlighted or shaded, those are the ones that we're going to approve the bids on next. So again, it's just because of the timing, and we'll get hopefully ahead of some price increases and some availability. And after you approve, then we will order the stuff as soon as tomorrow to get that ready for the summer. The tech department's always busy in the summer, so getting it in early will be welcome for them as well. Jim, do you want to add anything?
No. I don't know what I would add. You did. I'm just trying to get ahead of the, there's global shortages on RAM and memory. And Dell, when I was talking to our rep, he projects it to get really bad pretty quick. And things have gone up 20 to 50% per month since last September, depending on what item it is. It's getting kind of crazy. So I just want to kind of get in and save the district some money if we can.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Okay.
So the first thing is just approving the overall project list, and then the next agenda item is just the bid itself.
Okay. All right, so do I have a motion to approve capital outlay 26-27 tech projects?
So moved.
First, do I have a second?
One second.
First and a second. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 0. All right. And then along those same lines as Jimmy said, item number 3 is to approve capital outlay 26-27 technology Chromebook and computer bids.
Yeah, and all that's in there,
Yeah.
in the attachments of out there for public to see too. Jim's rubric, and then the 3 bids. And the Dell bid would be the low bid, so that's the one that we're looking to approve, $201,237.28.
Okay. All right.
And that cost is part of what you just approved, not in addition to.
Okay.
And in April, when you see the full, I'll have the tech in there, and that amount will carry forward.
The 201.
Actually, the 260 total.
Okay, got it.
We're talking
Okay,
about the total
I'm with you.
budget. Yeah.
All right. Okay, any questions about the tech Chromebook and computer bids? All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy.
And thanks, Mr. Profi. All right, next is the approval of the policy updates from KASB. These were the ones that we got last month for review.
Yeah, so the list is multiple policies, and I would make a recommendation for some. I believe some of them, our current policies are fine. These policies are presented to us from KASB. So some of them, as I go through them, some of them are gonna be, they have a rotation where they will review so many in December and then again in June. And usually the ones in June are a reflection of statute changes. But some of them, like even if court cases come up, you know, they will make the recommendations. And so I'll just go through them as a laundry list real quick. The first one, the BK, dealing with the executive session. They're recommending reviewing and adopting, and I recommend that as well. Basically what this is stating, I won't get into all the details, but basically the result is that if you go into executive session, what goes on in executive session is supposed to stay in executive session. You're not supposed to record this stuff, with this exception. There are times where if you have a student discipline hearing, if it goes through an appeal process and that comes to the board, and anytime there's a hearing, those are required by law to be recorded for record, as record, in case it would ever go into the district court system. And so this has that clarification that you could record meeting audio or video in an executive session for that hearing, but any other time you're not to do that. And the reason this has come about is because apparently somebody did that somewhere in Kansas and it became an issue, and through the process, they needed to tidy up that one. So I would recommend approval for that policy. The next one is membership. This just talks about KSB being a member, and then also you could be a member of the National School Board Association. I'll be honest with you, this one is okay the way it is. You could, you know, because the KSB is recommending it, I would say, yeah, it's okay to do it. You could also say, you know, we could delete this policy because it really just says that you may be a member of the local association and the national association. You can do that regardless if you have the policy or not.
Does the National Association require a fee?
They do.
The statute says that only Kansas, or that only you can only spend the money on KSB. That's why I'm asking. Okay.
Yeah. The next one, graduation requirements. I actually recommend keeping our current policy. Our current policy is specific to our district, and so they had a few, you know, stylistic changes for credits, and so I like our current policy. Use of artificial intelligence, this would be a new policy. I'll be honest with you, this is going to be one that's probably going to be coming up quite often because artificial intelligence is just changing so quick and trying to stay up with it. I do recommend that approval. You will see in that policy there were a couple lines struck out. That's my recommendation because it flows better, and again, it doesn't change the intent of it. The controversial issues, I would recommend approval of that one. The human sexuality education, this one talks about removing the reference to AIDS. It can stay. I mean, I've said recommend approval, but our current policy is okay. I mean, we talk about the different diseases and so forth. So I don't know that that's a big deal. A form that goes with it that doesn't need approval. We usually we have our own form. Religion in curriculum or curricular and school-sponsored activities. This is one that, because of a U.S. Supreme Court case, the KSB is recommending approval, and I would agree with that. Religious objections to activities, revised. Again, this is one that has been the result of a Supreme Court case, and I would recommend approval with that one too, to stay in compliance with the law. Enrollment of non-resident students. I would recommend that we keep our current policy. The only difference to this one is basically saying that if we want to accept an out-of-district student that we can physically take our bus, we can go into another district and pick that student up as long as we notify that district. We don't get reimbursed for that. I don't like the idea of going into other districts and picking students up. We have a way to do that. Our current policy also has more information in it in regard to student in good standing that we went through and vetted, so I recommend keeping our current policy. The next one, interrogation and investigation revised. I would recommend that we keep our current policy. Our current policy works. Some of this is talking about, making sure that you, that if SRO or law enforcement was to come in and question students, you have to notify the parents. That's in our current policy. That's already our practice. And so, again, our current one works. The bullying plan, we don't have the one that they're recommending to update. We don't have. And so the current, for some of the changes that they're recommending, we actually don't even have it. And so I would recommend keeping our current policy, which was approved in March of 2016. It's a good policy and works. The next one, JQI adult students, this is not a current policy, and I would not recommend adopting it, because what we have, you don't have to have a policy for everything. This deals with adult students, so if somebody never finished high school and they're past the age of 19, they can come back, and so it talks about some of that process. That usually isn't an issue, but we have ways for that now. And then the last one is visitors to school, and I recommend approving this. All this basically says is visitors to school, if off-duty law enforcement come, they can carry as being an off-duty officer and so forth. And we can and we can't ask them to write their name and so forth down in a log because of some confidential and stuff for work. What this is saying is that we can ask them to basically prove to us that you are law enforcement, and so to show a badge or to prove that. So it's a minor thing. It's something that we would do anyway, but this is just allowing us to do that. I'm happy to answer questions. Because I know that there's some that I'm recommending, some not. The language within it, if there's questions or whatever, I'll do the best I can to answer any questions.
The last one doesn't impact legislation because that was changed this past year. It goes along with it. That was me.
So for those keeping score,
I was gonna say, yeah.
I am recommending approving let's just say, I'm not recommending approval of IHF, JBCC, JCAC, JDDC, JQI, and recommend the others.
And the change you have in the AI one, right?
Yeah, and so since it's already presented that way, I've included.
Could you repeat that list again? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so no to IHF, JBCC, JCAC, JDDC, JQI.
So JBCC, as it reads in our policy, reads as it is minus the red line? Or like what we have is the previous version before this red line version. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. So this would be one, that's the enrollment one, yes, that was the one that had been approved a couple times because of 23 and then 24, so. And this is the one about taking the changes to go into the class.
Are there any board questions, concerns, comments about the list of recommended policy updates?
I think you did a good job going through them and stating which ones you recommended and which ones didn't, because they aligned well with.
I agree. Is there a motion?
I motion to.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Okay, so JBCC talks about the parent or the person acting as parent. And then in JBCC, it outlines the definition, and it's so small I can't.
Right.
There it is. The definition of a person other than a parent, so person acting as parent.
Right.
Guardian or conservator. Person other than a parent who, 1, is liable by law, 2, has actual care or control and is contributing a major portion of cost to support the child. 3, actual care and control of the child with written consent. And 4, has granted custody to the child by court. So I think it's a more defined guardianship versus just saying the parent or guardian. However, I'm thinking of a situation that I know of personally where the child was, I guess, and I'm referring to like point number 2, where someone else has actual care and control of a child and contributing the major portion of cost to support that child. Do we funnel, if someone were to come and ask about this or want to apply for this or even IKDA, acting as parent, does it funnel first through the parent filter, and then if we don't have like written form from parent that they, so my personal situation, not my personal situation, but the one I'm alluding to, is child moved out of parent, chose before 18 to move out of parent's household. They still had, obviously, legal guardianship, but said child was in another home where that home assumed financial responsibility for said child. If something were to happen and that child fell into one of these policies, who has, according to acting as parent, person acting as parent, who has the upper filter, I guess? I don't know how to, if that makes sense.
Sure, it gets muddy.
It does.
And so I would tell you it probably depends on the actual policy too. So because JBCC is talking about someone applying for out-of-district enrollment, if we have that, then the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to figure out, or what we do is, person acting as a parent, we have to determine what the situation is.
Sure.
Because you hate to not believe people, right? But we also have to make sure that this person isn't being trafficked.
Right.
And for student trafficking, or that there's a kidnapping charge or what have you. So, I mean, you don't ever want to say, well, we live in Paola, Kansas, that doesn't happen. I mean, so we have those safeguards in place, so we have to, so on that case, we're gonna verify why is it this person? We're gonna find out what the home situation, there's gonna be a paper trail that we need to have for that one. Now, for, like, if there's another one, I think that was like material, if there's something that's in class that you don't want your kid to be a part of or whatever. If there is if there's a parent and guardian and so forth, then yeah, we're gonna look at that. It's going to also depend on who has been the one that's been, who we've had contact with. And most of the time, I mean, we're gonna have guardianship, or we're gonna have documentation when they enroll.
Sure.
What happens is that there will be times that someone is enrolled and their home situation changes. It could, and if you could dream it up, we probably dealt with it. You've heard me say, you know, the definition of a family is so much different than when, you know, we grew up and so forth. And so on that, it could be it could be divorced parents, where one has custody, one does not. Doesn't matter, they still have, a parent still has right to know the educational records and so forth, unless there's a court order that says that they don't.
Right.
We have other situations where we've had a situation where a kid has been with dad, and dad was living with girlfriend, and then dad is incarcerated. And so it was a single, and mom I think had passed. And so you have that, and then there's no other family. So then you have, so in those situations, that's where you get, where you try to, and by law, I mean, really, it's a notarized, like, note will suffice that we have to have that.
Sure.
So I can't sit here and tell you, well, in this situation, because the situations are just different. We always want this to do is, we don't want it to ever be one against the other. And there are times that the school gets put in the middle, and our stance has been that we're here to help the kid, we're here to educate the kid. It's not for us to get in the middle of a custody dispute, a spat between different people. And so then we work through that, and we work with everybody involved.
There's something that's kind of off-putting with the phrasing of person acting as parent. I think as a parent, that's just kind of cringe, but that's my, knowing the world we live in.
Well, and I would agree. I mean, it's because it's maybe not our norm.
Yeah.
But it's the norm of others. And so I'll be honest with you, if it's what we do now, if it says guardian and there's not a guardian, but we have this note or whatever, then it is a person acting as a parent, and that's how we have to treat it.
Would it be possible to put the definition of parent and person acting as parent into the IKDA? Because there is no definition in.
I mean, yeah, I could literally copy what this definition, and then
because the two don't really relate to one another, but that phrase is in both.
Yeah, and
just to safeguard ourselves.
And I'm not sure why they have the phrase and some not. I would tell you that if it doesn't, they're like, well, what's this mean?
Yeah.
And I go to another policy that has it.
Right.
Our other policies state this, so this is what we refer to. So, you know, stating that, I mean, to add that to a policy, I mean, to copy that part and put it into that other policy, that's doable.
I would prefer it added, just so that there's clarification for anyone moving forward who reads IKDA to know what the definition of parent and person acting as parent, especially since, you know, community members have access to it as well. So that's mine.
I would just say that if that is the wish of the board, just to put that in your motion.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything?
On the document you provided where you redlined, that's our current policy? Or is this the current policy that KSB?
Those were the policies that's presented by KSB. Our current policies would be on board docs. So for which one?
I was looking at IKDA, where it talks about if a parent wants to opt out.
I think that is our current policy. I think that is the same.
Because this says that before anything was striked out, that the child still had to look at it even if the parent opted out. but then that's striked out.
Yeah.
So is that what we're voting to change?
Can you read the beginning of the paragraph you're on?
So it's on page 15 if you're looking at that. It says if the opt-out request is granted, students who opt out of activities for religious reasons may still be required to view the activity, to learn the subject matter of the activity, or to discuss the activity. And then, but that's striked out.
Yeah, I think.
So that would have been what, yeah, so that would be taken out, what,
But is that in our current policy?
our current policy is, no, well,
Does our current policy say if a parent decides not to have their child
our current,
in the activity, they still have to view it and learn it?
It's may, the word may is in there, not shall. And it says the student may be reassigned during activity or given alternative.
Yeah. That's,
Jim, give me access to the projector, please, Windows K. That's our current policy right there.
You need to go down to R?
Yeah, that's how you use that.
okay.
And then there's,
Yeah, I think it alters what Joe was asking.
and then here's the second part of that.
So that's paragraph.
Yeah, so, it's the second to last.
And so if we approve this, the part where it talks about the child may still have to view the activity and learn the subject matter, that's gonna be removed?
It would replace this.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I mean, this would no longer be there, it would be in place of what
It would
is
read,
listed.
if the opt-out request is granted, the school may provide an appropriate alternative and what's underlined.
Got it.
And that policy's been there a long time, and the reason I know that is because there's an approved date. Anything that's been there, well, I know like 15, 20 years has an approved date, so.
And this updates because the minutes in Supreme Court decision.
Yep. All right, Jamie, you can.
All right, Madam President, I move we approve policy BCBK, BG, II, BE, IKB, IKCA, IKD, IKDA with the parent definition adjustment discussed earlier.
And KM?
And KM, did I miss KM?
It's at the very
Okay.
end.
All right, and KM.
Okay,
KM,
so-
sorry, I was so close.
Is
Almost had it.
it according to Matt's recommendations with the definition added to the one policy? Is that what you're?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, with the parent definition.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for all the wonderful policies, such listed. I have a first and second. All those in favor? 7-0. All right.
Who seconded that, sorry?
I did.
Christian, sorry.
Thank you.
Item 5 is the repeal of J1, policy J1, which is bring your own device policy, and
JICJ and JICJR, nobody cry, use of beepers. Obvious reasons, I don't think I need to explain.
The bring your own device policy, I'll be honest with you, what we have really doesn't, I mean, it says kids can if it's approved, but then it also deals with, you know, like if just public uses it and so forth, that we have safeguards in place and so forth. But given the other conversations and so forth, because we're one-to-one, I would recommend go ahead and repealing that. It served us well, but it's no longer needed. And then obviously beepers in school, I mean, I don't know the last time I saw a beeper, but.
Never say never.
Exactly, but it would fall under electronic devices, so we have no problems.
All right, any questions on item 5? Do I have a motion?
A motion.
Second?
I'll second. You second?
Jamie, second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second, all those in favor? 7. All right, last up in action items, approve or discuss, we'll start with discuss. The cell phone policy draft that we talked about last month. First of all, thanks for taking time to put it together, but I know that some things are in the works on the side.
That's a mess.
Yes, so yes, some things did change today in the committee and so forth, and so I will start the discussion. Samantha can obviously correct me, but do I think something will pass the legislature? From my perspective, yes. What is that going to say? I have no idea.
Well, it could be vetoed.
Because, yeah, and so, I mean, so some of the stuff like today, if I heard correctly, it said, shall have a, you know, policy bell to bell, now it says may. And so, and then another piece was, what was the other one? There was something else, some wording. Oh, instead of it saying you have to have it in like a locked, you know, security bag type thing, now it needs to be turned off and inaccessible or whatever, so like a backpack and so forth. Now, that was a committee that went through there and approved some, it still has to go through the process. So how you will end up, and if it's signed and so forth, I mean, you know, the governor said during her State of the State that, you know, she would sign, but, you know, devil's always in the details, right? I mean, what does it say and so forth. So, with that said, here is a draft policy trying to take into account the discussion last time, what the current handbook language was, and trying to make a little bit of sense out of it. Also doing some research from the other. I did ask KSB regarding this, and their comment was you can do it. They were concerned that if you approve it, then you may have to be redoing it. So they thought, well, you might want to wait until the process goes through. I know there's been conversation that if a district had something in place, that they would let that be grandfathered in. So I know that's been some discussion from Topeka as well. So here's my attempt and I think it does a pretty good job of talking about cell phones, smartphones, you know, smartwatches, wearable technology, which to me, there's now glasses that you can wear, and you know, with your eye movement can work like a computer and so forth. So any type of wearable, other personal device capable of communication, internet access, recording, entertainment, and so forth.
I think it mirrors what will end up coming out of the
So that's my attempt. What this one states is that it would be, talks about storage of devices powered off, stored out of sight in a backpack or a locker. I'll be honest with you, if there's a policy, will a kid have it turned off and on them? Probably. If it's turned off and it's on them, but they never use it, then, I mean, we're not gonna actively go search for this stuff. There would have to be exceptions. Some are used for medical devices. I can think of diabetics that, you know, and so there would need to be that. If an IEP or a 504 plan has it, because they're utilizing it for as a translator. It could be, if there's an emergency situation. It also has in here that if, I'm trying to think, it's stated in here somewhere that if they, like if there's a student activity during the day, so you're going on an FFA trip or you're, or there's at the end of the year, there's a, I know they may go, like, I think middle school will have a, like a Worlds of Fun trip or whatever, where there might be a reason that you want kids to have it. There is that exception that can be for situations like that, which could be different than if it's in school, so.
Have the administrators had a chance to review it to see if it would work? I mean, that's probably.
I did, I asked for feedback, so.
Can we get your input on it as well?
Yeah, we've already discussed it,
Okay.
yeah, we're okay with what's been proposed.
When do we discuss the handbooks? Because to me, it would make sense to wait until the new school year rather than just drop a policy like this.
I would recommend if you do something, we don't want to enact this until next school.
Right.
So-
But I'm saying so by that time, will we already know what the legislature has to say about it? Like, does it make sense just to kind of table it until?
Usually handbooks are in May.
Okay. So,
That is a May
to me, it
discussion.
would make sense to table it. I think this sounds great, but either way, it's not effective immediately, so it makes sense to table it until May.
I don't disagree with that. My only thing is that I think that the students and the teachers and the administrators need to be prepared for it. So I want to make sure that they're ready. So if we agree on this, just to make a statement that we do agree that a policy along these lines will fit.
Sure.
And then we'll hope to have it in the handbook, just so they're
For next
ready
school
for
year.
it.
That would be a violation of the policy. Sorry, Deb. Yeah, so I mean, absolutely, you'd want to make sure you have that communication and so forth. And yes, I'm smart enough to know not to bring policy without vetting it with administrators and so forth.
And it
So
also gives parents and students time to
Prepare.
read it and whether they want to come here and tell us or email us if they think it should be stronger or lax. I think that's important as well, so.
it's what we're doing, K-8. High school's different, what they're currently doing, but they're also used to it K-8, so.
Wasn't a concern though, to have something in place before the legislation?
Well, the legislation wouldn't take effect until July 1st, because I don't see them even if it passed, they wouldn't put it into place in the middle of the school year.
So basically, you're saying like they could, like a decision could be made, but it wouldn't be effective until, like, so that we could get our own in place if grandfathered was a part of it.
Mhm.
So we could be ahead of the game, I think is how I'm understanding it, before it would take effect. We could still do that by May. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Before then.
adjourn by April, so the governor probably might not even have signed it by then, so.
No, that,
Just, we can leave it as discussion, table it.
that's why
until-
it stated,
Yeah.
approve or discuss.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure, to follow up from last month, and then as a board, you can, if there was something that you wanted to approve, that's on you. If you're asking my recommendation, I would say if there was any tweaks based off what was there, then that would help. But if you're saying, hey, this looks okay, then I would say, then you leave it for right now.
Okay.
And then that way we can, and then you can, and this will also determine on how you need to move forward with it. Because if you were to ask me, do you currently have a cell phone policy? Yeah, but it's through our handbooks, and our handbooks are policy. I don't have a policy with a letter like we just talked about. But they serve as the same, an approved handbook serves as the same thing. So then the other piece would be is, do you want it in one or the other, or do you want it in both? Because you can put it in a handbook as well, or I would probably say you refer to the actual policy. If it's, part of the actual board policy with like a letter is, then we refer to that in a student handbook to where they can find it.
I say for the sake of tonight, since we, I think, agree that we'll leave it as a discussion tonight, that we'll table it until we come around to handbook approval time, and then we can move on action on that, if everybody on the board is okay with that. Okay? We will revisit this another day. All right, we are at the executive session portion of our meeting tonight.
Let's be quick, 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Yep.
Because we've got a few of them, so I think we do each other in 10 minutes.
Madam President, I move that we go into executive session with the superintendent meet to discuss the.
Mr. Hines.
Mr.
Burchett.
Mr. Burchett, to discuss the PHAPA candidate search.
Yep.
And for 10 minutes to 7:30.
Yep.
There's a motion, do we have a second? Matt, all those in favor? 7-0. Thanks, guys. If you're not here when we return, we appreciate you coming.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, it completely caught me off guard.
The list.
And
No.
this is with Justin and I,
Okay.
at least initially.
Okay, how long did you say?
10 minutes.
Madam President, I move that we go into executive session with Superintendent Meek and Burchett to personal matters of non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy and interests of individuals we discuss. And we return to open session, this room at 7:42.
Okay. First,
Second.
motion and a second. Second, all those in favor? 7-0.
It doesn't matter to me. I'm fine
He's here
with
if you-
it, whatever.
If you need.
Are we adding anybody or not?
10 minutes.
Ten
It doesn't
minutes?
matter to me.
Are you adding someone?
Okay. Madam President, I move that we go into executive session with Superintendent Meek and Justin Burchett to discuss the personnel formal complaint pursuant to matters non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy of individuals to be discussed, and then return in open session in this room at 7:54, 55.
Second. All those in favor? 7-0.
Okay. Bye, Christian.
Bye.
Madam President, I move that we go into executive session with Jimmy Hay and Matt Meek to and Justin Burchett to discuss negotiations pursuant to personnel matters not elected personnel in order to protect the privacy and interest of individuals to be discussed, and that we return into the open session in this room at, you said 10 minutes?
Yes.
8:06.
Let's do 8:07, because it's at the end.
Motion, second.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Jamie?
Yes.
Oh, okay, got it.
Samantha?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sorry. We're going fast, sorry.
Okay. Madam President, I move that we go into executive session with Jimmy Hay, Matt Meek, and Justin Burchett to discuss negotiations pursuant to personal matters and non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy and interests of individuals to be discussed. Now we return into open session in this room at 8:18.
Perfect. 8:18.
Second.
All those in favor? 6-0. Sorry, Lord.
The games they play on both teams will pay state income tax?
No, you're
Is that
paying
how it works?
income tax, but that's irrelevant. I mean, you got 6.6 interest rate on it. It's not good.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Matt, do I have a second? Second. Jamie, all those in favor? 6-0. All right, thank you so much.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
See you.